Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Smart Flip, the Phone Flippers podcast, the biggest phone flipper podcast in the world. The only one, obviously, as well. So with that being said, guys, I just want to point out we do have our new 2025 guide to flipping phones and electronics. You guys can grab that in our free Facebook group. Check out the description below for that. If you guys want to get a little bit more detailed on getting started in this business, check out our ebook. I also have an audio book of it on episode 11 of the podcast, or you can buy the PDF version with links and stuff like that in the description below. It's literally $4.95. That's how I get rich, by the way, by selling that book by itself. Just kidding.
Don't
Anyway,
tell him. Don't tell him.
I know
No,
I can't
no.
tell them the secret, right? The guru secret. With that being said, guys, today we have Rick, the Kansas City iPhone buyer, with us. Rick has been around the industry for quite a while. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about his experience in the industry and where he came from, how he got started, and stuff like that. With that being said, let's start with the aha moment when you figured out that you could flip phones for profit, my man. Welcome, Rick.
What's up? What's up? Welcome, guy. Thank you for having me on. And yeah, for sure. For me, let's see. Starting off with like the industry. So like I've been flipping phones. Like I first started probably about 7, 8 years ago. Been doing it full time now for about 2.5, 3 years. Like full time supporting myself and my family. Um, but yeah, that aha moment when I realized I could actually, like when I first started and realized like I could make money at doing it. I was working for a Verizon like a retailer, and I'd been with T-Mobile off and on for about 7, 8 years, and was working for Verizon at the time. A guy that I had hired, actually, I was when I was a district manager for T-Mobile. I'd hired a guy to manage one of my stores at T-Mobile. We both ended up going to this Verizon retailer after some time, and I was became a friendship working with this guy, and he's a great dude that'd been in the cellular industry for years. He was like, dude, I found these I've jumped into these closed Facebook groups, a couple of them where like these guys are like flipping iPhones, and I was like, flipping iPhones? What do you mean flipping iPhones? And so, long story short of that, is I linked, I jumped in a couple of these groups, couple just seeing some of the people talking about flipping phones and like buying them on marketplace and then reselling them on marketplace and or eBay. And I did it a couple of times and then jumped into another group, and then that's where I first bumped into you and heard about you. And then we've only really met and talked in the last like probably 2 years, um it was in Dave Kosciuszko's how do you say his name last
Yeah,
name.
his last name stuff.
It was in Dave's group, and so, but yeah, it was like 8 years ago, man. I flipped a couple phones just on buying on marketplace, reselling them on marketplace, and then started getting into eBay and stuff, and just kind of did it as a side gig for several years, and alongside of still working at Verizon. And I ended up going back to T-Mobile, got back in management with T-Mobile, and I was running $20 a day Facebook ads, and would on my lunch break and before and after work meet up with people and buy phones. Just kind of did as a little side hustle. And then yeah, like I said earlier, about 2.5 years ago, I just jumped all in, and felt like I'd gathered enough information and kind of got tired of playing with it and wanted to just fully work for myself. I've been in some form of management and retail for off and on for about 10 years. And uh, yeah, I love the autonomy of that. I love, I've been taught how to run a business. Now I thought it was time just to kind of own my own business. So that's why I stepped out fully and just been doing it ever since.
Love that. So, just kind of curious, what was the moment where you were like, okay, this could be a full-time gig? Like,
Um, I, I guess I kind of took a little bit of my own medicine. I think is what it came down to, really. I'm managing people. I've hired, and I've been in management and and a district manager, so um, multi-unit management as well. And so I've hired, anywhere from a sales rep, part-time, full-time, to part-time manager or associate manager to full-time managers. And then I've actually sat in on hiring like some of my peers before because of some of the experience I've had. I've sat in with my boss, my director of sales, and helped give feedback and input on hiring district managers. So with that, like I just was realizing like I've hired people, then I train them, and I give them lots of insight and lots of coaching, and because basically comes down to their income earning potential affects mine. And so their ability to win and be successful affected my pocket. Their commission check affected my commission check. And it was kind of one of those things where I just was like, um, I'm tired of having to reset every 30 days. You go from being a hero, my store, my team, my employees, and my name and my store retail store number could be number one in the district or even in the company or whatever on the 31st, right, of the month. And you could be, I used to use the term, so you could be the hero, but then on the first, everyone goes back to a zero in retail. And
Mm.
so, uh, after doing that for so many years, it really weighs on you. And it's just the way the industry is built. Nothing against T-Mobile, nothing against Verizon or anything like that. It's retail. That's just retail. And you hit some new mark last month in your numbers. Well, this month, they only give you an attaboy for about 30 seconds. And then
Mm.
the next month it's a higher goal, right? It's well, that was great then, but what have you done for me lately? And so here's the new month, here's the new goals to jump and reach for. So I just kind of got tired of that, and I was like, I've helped own and operate or help run businesses for several years for these different retailers. What if I put that much effort and energy into owning my own business and just running my own business? Um, and I'd done it before as a side hustle. I've owned a couple of different businesses previously, like on the side, and unrelated to cell phone sales. And I was just like, what if I just fully dive into this and not make it a side hustle? And so I last let's see, October, it was April of 2022 was when I fully just stepped away and I went into ramping up my Facebook ads and not treating it like a side hustle and just going, hey, I'm gonna sink or swim on this because I've done that for years. I was my income was heavily based on my commission, which is sink or swim, right? In regards to that. And instead of relying on me coaching other people, I need to take some of my own medicine. And so that is just wanting to shift a bit and have complete autonomy and not have that reset at the first of every month and be able to push myself instead of having to push others.
I love that. So you're basically helping people. You were coaching people, but you were basically running that business. It sounds like the sales side of it and everything.
Yeah, sales and operation, and like I was fully paid off of there were several years where I was fully paid off of the profitability, like a heavy percent of my commission check out of like a portion of it's salary as a manager, and then a portion of it is commission. Out of the commission side of it, there's several years where like at least 30-40% of that commission check was off the profitability. And so like if the store wasn't profitable,
Yeah.
um, that's labor controlling labor costs, everything, then I
Yeah.
didn't. So I got a really great free amazing education in running a business, and it was just time to apply it for myself.
Mm.
That's awesome. Well, it's funny because if you actually look at it a different way, you got paid to learn how to run a business,
Yeah, for sure.
which is
Yeah,
awesome, right? Like, and that's any job really. Like, if you get into a management position, you're basically being paid to. You're getting being, Hormozy actually calls it like this. He's like, you're being paid in two ways. You're number one getting paid financially, and then you're also getting paid with knowledge as well, because
100%.
you can't get away from it because you have to learn it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, because especially in a commission-based environment,
Oh yeah,
they'll
it
clip you real quick.
is a sink or swim kind of situation
Yeah,
there. Like,
yeah,
you got to hit KPI. You got to.
yeah. No,
Sure.
for
If
sure.
you're not hitting the marks, that's it. Like, you're gone.
Yeah,
And that's
it's
one
a
thing I've noticed about like salespeople in this industry. They do incredibly well. It's because they're good at talking. Like,
yeah.
let's just be real. Like, this whole business is relationships and communication.
It's people skills for sure. Yeah, for sure. It translated really well over to this. It almost was kind of easy in regard to like interacting with people. That is pretty effortless for me, and being able to read people and what they're saying, how they're saying it, things like that. Being able to keep myself safe in regards to that too. You know what I mean? So just understanding kind of, hey, meet me out in the parking lot or whatever, and I've got certain things in place to be able to keep myself safe and whatnot because I can read into like what the way they're answering the questions I ask, asking questions certain ways. So for sure, it translated over really well.
I have a question. Did you start off with ads or did you start off with the free kind of marketplace like way that we all kind of
No,
started?
the same old way, man. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The free stuff, man. The big copy paste images with words on there, but make sure the words aren't too big that are on the images, and
Yeah.
be really careful with your copy and what you put in the Facebook Marketplace listing. Otherwise, the algorithm will catch it. Yeah,
Hmm.
Hmm.
for sure,
Man, those were the hustle days, like
bro. Yeah, it was a grind. It was a grind just to keep your quote unquote ads up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because that was before like you could do ads. There weren't Facebook ads back then,
yeah.
and so yeah, that was the way to reach the masses. And yeah, it was a grind every morning to go. Well, let's see how many of my quote unquote ads slash listings got pulled down overnight. And
You gotta admire the the ingenuity that Dave and Aaron and those guys put into making sure things could stick, right?
yeah,
I remember Dave's Craigslist copycat method. Like, just
yeah,
Matt, do you remember those? Like the
Yeah,
Craigslist copycat method thing that we would always do. Like, go find a
yeah.
listing and post almost exactly like it.
I
Like,
yeah,
sat in on those calls, man, for sure. Yeah,
dude, those were some masterminding calls some
they
days.
were.
It's like, hey, this is no longer working. We got to figure out what works now. Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and then sometimes I would even go. I would even go. Oh, like sometimes we'll do this now. This isn't, don't do this anymore. I'm like, is that really? I haven't noticed that issue or this issue they're talking about. And so then sometimes I'd go look up like Aaron's ads. I go find it in St. Louis. I'm like, oh, I'm like, no, he's actually running it like that. Oh, okay, all right. Let me go and switch mine up. Let me change mine up.
yeah,
yeah,
it's so crazy. In my opinion, it's actually easier nowadays. Now, and we have the same kind of issues. Like, we just got you through the Google suspension thing. That was a headache. I
Just
learned
out of nowhere too. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's funny because you have the same problems in the industry. Like back then, we would just get our ads removed with no warning. We get shadow banned. We get whatever. Like, and nowadays you just get you got to appeal with Google. But in my opinion, it's actually easier nowadays. We're not having to like wake up at 6 a.m. and post
Sure.
nonstop every morning. Like,
Well, I agree. I agree. And I think it's because they've created outlets for us to be able to advertise effectively, like
yeah,
proper, like according they right. There's rules and guidelines now that they go, hey, we now allow this. You can pay for this. You can do this. Just follow our guidelines. And then every now and then, like with my account, I get tripped up, and they're like, hey, we needed to re-verify you. 12 months later. Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't see the
oh
email that you wanted
man.
me to do that.
I will say that was for your account. That was a headache. I had never seen a form that long. I was like, "What in the world? Like, what is
Yeah,
happening here?"
Oh
And I
yeah.
swear
man.
with Google, it's something different with like every person too. Like it's
Well,
like
it
there's
stinks. It stinks. You
15
can't
different.
just like call somebody. You can't just like get someone in a quick chat and go,
Yeah,
"Hey, let's just hash it out real quick." Like you got to submit it. Wait 2 or 3 days. They get back to you 2 or 3 days
yeah.
later. You go. Well, you try to clarify. Are you saying this? And then wait 2 or 3 days for them to respond again. It's crazy.
Oh
Oh,
man.
same thing
And
with Facebook.
people complain about eBay, but you want to talk about bureaucratic inefficiency. That is awful. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Google's rough, man. It stressed me out. I finally tapped out and said, "Chris, I hate to bother you. Can you take a look at this? I've been back and forth with them for 4 weeks now, and he got it cleared up in like within 3 days. It was freaking awesome.
yeah.
Well, whenever you deal with it on like a daily basis,
That's
figure it
why I
out.
went to you, man. You're the master for sure. I was like, hey, I'm trying not to be a thorn in the side, but I need to be this squeaky wheel. Can you help me out?
Yeah.
I
So
think I think that persistence in hey, here's this new industry. I feel like back then the industry was still trying to like define itself and its boundaries. And Facebook didn't know where to put that fence, right? So it's
Sure,
just this constant back and forth until eventually it's like, I mean, that was like that was very fundamental. And I don't think a lot of people realize it. It was like it was probably in that era that those boundaries were being defined.
sure.
oh
And
yeah,
Chris
for
has talked
sure.
about this many times. Chris has talked about that, about like how just the phone flipping is way more legitimized now. It's
Oh
more
yeah.
Yeah.
like we can stop we have to communicate this way and advertise this way too. Like we have to stop treating ourselves like we're like this little like back alley shady deal thing. Like that's kind of
I'm
how
trying to find a real job, guys, but I got you. Yeah.
that's kind of the way it felt, right? And the way we kind of went about it back when you could only like post things in the sellable categories on
Yeah.
Facebook. But now it is like Chris says it all the time. It's way more legitimized. Like be loud and proud. Like get your business established, LLC, EIN, like business name, logo, set up the Google page for sure. Like get build a brand and create a branded reputation in your area for sure.
I
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
back whenever I was working with Dave, because we would call a lot of those practices of marketplace and Craigslist and all of that like black hat ways of doing things. Because
Yeah.
honestly, that's all we knew.
Yeah.
Um, and then, I ended up proposing like, why don't we just start doing white hat stuff? And Dave was like, "What?" I'm like, "Why don't we just go like fully into like Facebook ads and stuff,
Yeah.
man?" And then that's kind of where we started trending because
Yeah.
like if we wanted to get big, we had to do that. Like
Yeah.
with our coaching program and everything, you had to like you can't be online teaching like how to circumvent the system every day. Like that's
Yeah,
going to come
totally.
back one day and really bite you in the ass. Like
Yeah,
Mhm.
or that's going to start getting flagged too. Then your posts aren't getting approved,
yeah,
and you're
exactly.
like, what the heck?
Yeah, because you could, as a that's why I'm really careful about the marketing practices that I put out with people like because I guess my YouTube channel has a like a large following of like action takers, right?
Nice.
Like that new Matt, that reach out message that I send now,
Mhm.
apparently that's being overused at this point. Like apparently a lot of people are sending that now. Like and people are thinking it's a scam. like, like
Dude,
so it's
that's
things like
funny.
that where like you can't, you know, uh throw out like one thing for everybody to do, but also I think like Facebook ads have become a little saturated as well. Probably partly due to me. That's why I'm not giving away the Google ad stuff,
That's fair.
like let's be like Facebook ads, I think it still works really well in your area, right, Rick? Facebook ads and everything.
It works well. I wouldn't say really anymore, but it works well. It's just that they've upped the ante, and they continue to up the ante, and like as far as like what I have to invest to get the same return.
Yeah.
That it beginning of the year, January through March, it took another hit for even from like what last year looked like. And then from the election, going into the last like 60 days of the election, up building up to the elections, it was trash.
Yep.
And from what a lot of marketing gurus are saying, it was because of the like literal like billions of dollars that were being
Yep.
sunk into the election stuff. It
Mm.
still hasn't rebounded very well from that.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if Facebook has just said this is going to be kind of where we're at. We like we were they were used to all the spend that was happening during that time frame, and then just maybe they didn't fully bounce back. And if not, it looks like that kind of once a year big hit that it takes on like the CPM. It seems like it's just hit early this year is what it seems like.
Well, that's why you always got to get a lot of third party stuff, right? Like I tell a lot of people now, like even if you're breaking even on Facebook ads, great, that's good because you can build repeat customers that way.
Well, yeah,
It's still worth it
yeah,
because you're still dealing with customers and you're still now like I'm big on diversity, right? We make a lot more money outside of iPhones. Like I just flipped a Quest for like I think it was 120 a profit. Um,
nice.
so it's I'm big on diversity and running ads with diversity. We've seen a lot higher CPM or not CPM, but a lot higher reach on like game console ads, right? Because it seems like there's a lot of like phone flipping ads now
Mm.
that everybody's using. Sorry, everybody. I shouldn't have put. I'll take down the Facebook. I'm just kidding. I'm not taking that down. But I'm not giving away Google this time because I don't want the same thing to happen. However, Google is a lot more complicated anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Oh
But
Yeah.
yeah.
like, let's be real. Google My Business it can be a headache to set up now.
Well,
But
it's not as instantaneous too, and that's kind of
yeah,
what I love about it. Like I'm waiting for
yeah,
mine to continue to rise and hit more and more over time because I know if I just outlast the guys that aren't willing to wait it out,
boom.
I'll continue to win in my area. So
I
It's
want to
true.
highlight that what you just said right there.
yeah,
Like most phone flippers won't stick it out. Like
Yeah,
I had a guy who reached out to me the other day and he was like, "Yeah, I only do this business like November through, February." And I'm like, "Why?" And he's like, "Well, the summer months are slow." And I'm like,
that's
"Yeah,
crazy.
but like, okay." And like what's crazy is cuz I asked him I was like, "Do people have phones year round?"
Right,
And he was
right.
like, "Yeah." I'm like, "So why wouldn't you do the business year round?" Like
Yeah,
The
what
summer months are slow. Hmm.
the summer months are slow. Like, let's be real, they're slower. Are they super
Yeah.
slow? No. Like, I remember I don't know, Matt, were you on Ken's first interview with
Yeah.
him? Yeah.
Hmm.
Like, on that call, I told him it was like, what was it, August, I think? He had done like a $5,000 month, and I'm like, great, dude. That means you're gonna do like 10,000 in November. You know,
Yep.
like that's how the season rolls, right? If you're doing 5K in the summer months, you're gonna do way
Yep.
more in the holiday months. But and you've been in this industry for a while. Like, what are some like things you've seen that have changed from then till now? Because I know half of it you were side hustle, but now you're full time. So what's the biggest like seasonal differences you've seen personally in your area?
man. I tell you what, um, you've been in this business longer than I have, at a higher level, longer than I have for sure. So I won't knock anything you just said, but like I don't follow seasons myself. Like I don't feel like I've seen any kind of guaranteed, like you said, higher, lower. And I'll just speak to this year and just to give some specific examples. Like I had my biggest months that I've ever had actually in the business and the several years I've been doing it in uh, September and October, August, September and October actually this year, um, and and I've had a subpar month in November and so far this month as well. Um, and I say that not to contradict what you're saying, but to say I base it off my effort, 100% off my effort.
Fair. Yeah.
Yeah, I just meaning I try to make sure I try to not give myself excuses in ways out to go, oh, it's this month, or it's I'm
I
hitting it
like that.
this season. I just don't, man, because my family eats or doesn't off of what I earn.
Mm.
And so I'm just and that comes from a history of being in commission sales for a decade before I started doing this, right? Um, and so yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I don't disregard that at all. Like there probably are some different seasons
Yeah.
that create an ebb and flow for sure. Some kids being out for summer and people saving up money all year long to spend more money at the end of the year. But for me, man, I hang my hat on where am I at? I'm tracking my sales. I'm tracking where I'm getting my leads from and which ones am I closing from Google versus Facebook versus repeat. And I own it 100% and go, well, I'm
Love
kind of
that.
slacking here. This feels a little bit less on my repeat. Have I been hitting those same 25 people up, or what? I haven't hit them up
Yeah.
in a couple months because I was flowing good last month,
Mm.
and I got kind of lax, kind of lazy. Let me hit them now. I might not buy from get to see the influx right away this month, but January, because I bugged them in December, I might start seeing that flow in. So yeah, dude, I would say for me, it's all about consistency of my own efforts and knowing what works and knowing if I grind it out and I give the attention and the time to the things that work and I know will work, I just have to trust that they're going to. That's when I see my best months. I feel like, and it creates a domino effect. I think meaning that August, September, October, I think was a domino effect of me grinding in um, April, May, and June. Like building up to it this year. To be honest with you, I had Google ads running alongside of my Facebook ads for several months consistent, and I was grinding and doing a really like superb job going into the summer with my follow up and tracking who I'm following up with and doing that immediate with the warm leads that kind of went quiet, doing that 24-hour 48-hour follow-up and then going, here's the ones that have been quiet with two or three follow-ups in a row, and hitting them every Monday and kind of just touching base. Hey, I didn't hear back from you last week. So just yeah, I would say effort, man. Effort and energy is really what I hang my hat on, my success and or lack thereof.
I like that a lot. I like how you don't basically subscribe to any labels there, and it's just all about. That's kind of consistent with what we say in Recelerator. If you do these certain things every single day, you can't lose, kind of thing.
Yeah,
If you do 50 to 100 reach outs a day, answer your leads, follow up with your leads, you can't lose. Like it's literally impossible.
yeah.
Um, and Matt, you look like you had something you wanted to add to that. No,
No, go ahead. You're good, bro.
no, I was just like you're right, and I'm a big fan of like not labeling stuff, and I just realized that I labeled certain months there, and I love that you pointed that out, because I hate labels. Like I can't stand them.
Mm,
Well, I think it's good to feel those things out, right? But what I don't allow myself to do is to allow that to be an excuse.
Yeah,
that's
Like
good.
because and here's why. My Google ads, my Google ads were shut off. My business is still up and running, and everything's active there, right? I didn't do anything to like breach any policies. They needed to re establish me with business verification, right? I was down for the whole month of November. It's December now. We just flipped over into December, 10 days ago. Dude, I couldn't go to my wife on December 1st and go, hey, babe, like we're going to be really short on like grocery money. Like I can't pay the mortgage. I don't think this month, like we might have to let it slide for a month because my Google ads are down. Like I can't do that. Right. Like she would be like, what are you talking about? Right.
yeah,
So yeah, things come up, things happen, and we hit different seasons, and it's good to anticipate those things, to read those things. What you're saying, it's good to read that and be anticipating that, and to give myself a little grace, right? Like to go, okay, it is a slower month. Like, okay, so I mean, but for me, I instantly go, so what can I do?
yeah,
Like,
I like that.
okay,
Yeah.
where can I grind harder now? Like, okay, I've been slacking on reach outs. Let's refamiliarize myself with some of the teachings and videos that Chris talks about with reach outs. Let's use that new tool that he's got with helping with like getting
Yeah,
more
have
reach
you used
outs.
that yet?
Dude, I
Oh my
haven't. I'll be
gosh, you gotta
honest.
use it.
I'll be
It'll
honest.
change your life. I
You sent me
promise.
the link and I've not freaking done it because it's the same thing. I've not applied myself. Like no excuses. I've not set the time aside to do it. Like I'm not one of those guys like those people that you have in your life. It may even be family or friends, whatever, coworkers that go, "Oh, I didn't have time for that."
Oh my gosh, drives me
Right?
crazy.
Like,
I
dude, it
tell
drives
them
me
to open
nuts.
up their screen time app on their phone and send it to me.
Do my kids do that? Just that terminology, it drives me nuts.
Yeah,
I've got teenage daughters, like, and it drives me nuts. Just because of the way I'm wired, I literally am like, I haven't made time for that.
yeah,
Not I didn't have. I didn't make time for that. It's an active choice. So
Yeah. I think to this point is something that's critical to human nature is if I paint myself as the victim of circumstance, I'm always going to be subject to the whim of circumstance, and I'm always going to be looking whatever seasonally and circumstantially is seems to be in control. I see so many reseller groups where people post, ah, eBay's dead, eBay's slow, like there's the like freebay, like all these different slang terms for how crappy eBay is. And I'm
yeah,
like, if you're not making money through this method where you can buy anything and resell it on eBay, you're probably not trying enough. And you know what? If that's your mentality anyway, then hey, jump out of the pool. I know myself, and I got a whole host of homies over here where we're going to jump in this mix and find out how to get paid. And I think it's interesting because it's like, limitations is just a space to figure out how to creatively pursue, right, the problem we need to solve.
yeah,
And that we've talked about it before, Chris, on the show, how, those limitations is kind of the mother of all invention.
yeah,
Like you have these defining boundaries and you go, okay, well, if this is the framework or the fence that I have to play in, I just need to figure out clever ways to do this, or this. And I think that that's fantastic, Rick, because uh, I mean, I'm a guy who flips consoles exclusively or maybe 90% just through reach outs. And people are like, well, Matt, what are you doing? How do you make
yeah.
your money? And when we start talking through it, I had a student just 2, 3 days ago. He goes, "My eyes have been opened. I can't believe that I've been avoiding the profits possible
Yeah.
through consoles and VR systems." And I'm like, "Yeah, man." And he went and bought an item for $300 and he's going to flip it for like $700. But I'm like, dude, it's out there. Like,
Crazy.
just
Yeah.
let's look where other people are refusing to look, because human nature is human nature. And I tell people all the time in this group, lots of times we make our money based exclusively on human nature, like,
Yeah.
and so many markets do. It's just fascinating.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I want to. I want
Go ahead.
to. No, you go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, you're probably about to go into some of the same things I was thinking. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna move to the point where we're all full time flippers and dads at the same time. So
Yeah,
I
that's true.
Guilty,
wanted
guilty.
to talk about that a little bit. I talk about it pretty often, but it's always nice to hear it from another person's perspective, outside of me and Matt, because it's just what we do. Like, what's it like being able to do this full time, like, and like you're always home probably, like
Yeah,
I bet that's huge. I know it's huge for my boys. Like they don't. I left the other day to go to the post office, and my son was, because he always goes with me most of the time. He goes with me to Starbucks to buy stuff and stuff all the time too. Um, and he was like, "Where's Daddy? Like what? Why isn't he here?
yeah,
Like, because I'm always home." So I want to
yeah,
talk about that real quick. What is that like? I know you have three girls, and I mean
yeah,
another baby on the way.
yep,
So what's it like?
dude. It's phenomenal. Like the easiest way to put it is, it's an amazing blessing. Um, and I come from, it's a stark contrast too. So I did retail and retail management and even retail middle management, in total for about 10 years in like management roles. So to be gone from home minimum of 50 hours a week was the norm for my teenage daughters, who are my two oldest that are teenagers now. um, that's what they knew of their dad. That I was gone a lot, and so um, catching them on the tail end of their high school, kind of, their time in high school, and trying to kind of reverse the curse a bit and reconnect and slow down a bit and be more present and be there for every single thing that they have, that's going on in school and out and otherwise, is a huge blessing. And like you said, so I've remarried about 3 years ago, and so I have two teenage daughters, 19 and 14,
Oh,
and then
wow.
I have a stepdaughter who's 7. And very on purpose, we have a baby on the way, and so with my wife, and this will be our first child together. So
Very on
super.
purpose. I love that.
Yeah, no, yeah, very intentional. I just because some people can read that as like, oh,
Yeah,
you got a whoopsie.
yeah.
No, yeah, I'm 44 years old, and we very intentionally had a baby together so that the wife that I plan to spend the rest of my days with, her and I can have a child together, and so we're excited about that. And I get to kind of redo that a bit with her, with this, and it's another girl on the way, and so I get to be home for her, right, and watch her grow up and be very present. Unlike with my older daughters, that unfortunately I was not as present as I would have liked to have been.
Yeah.
It's amazing, dude. It's a bit of a there is a push pull with it, right? There's a bit of a tension there with how to make myself available to clients, right? And when to prioritize, picking this possible $300 profit up. Can you meet me? I'm out at dinner with my family.
Yeah,
I'll step out into the
yeah.
lobby by the hostess stand, and I'll quickly go through the setup on your iPhone 15 Pro Max, and I'll buy it from you.
I've done
Um,
that many times.
dude,
Yeah, I'm
all the
at
time.
gymnastics class with my boys, and like, hey man, I'll buy your phone. You just got to come to me right now, like, and I'll buy
Dude,
it. But I'm at
yeah,
gymnastics, like, and I let people know, like,
yeah.
this is why I do that. Like,
And some people may think it's weird, right? Like, and go, why would you interfere with? I'm like, no, 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 no. I have it set up in a way
yeah,
that, and I have my, like, I've worded the way I pick up. I've asked the right questions, everything, to where it's going to be a 60-second interaction, literally. When I do step away from the table, when I do, step away from whatever I'm doing with my family. I've been at the movie theater and stepped out front. All kinds of stuff. I went and picked up a prescription yesterday. Had my daughter with me. I was picking up a prescription for my wife, and in the Walgreens, I met a guy. Like it didn't impede anything.
Yeah.
There was no like I
Yeah.
told my daughter I gotta meet me in here, and she's like, okay, cool. She sat in the car. It's 13 degrees outside here in Kansas City,
Huh.
so she's staying warm. And Dad walked back in the car in 5 minutes, and I had a prescription for my wife. It didn't
Nice.
slow me down in being present for my wife and for my daughter all at the same time.
Yeah, it is
So
really cool how you can weave it into the life
yeah,
very easily. Like a lot of people think you have to keep it separate, and I think that's mostly because of the job mentality that they
right,
have in the beginning. Because I had that in the beginning. Like I
sure,
remember whenever I went full time, I was telling my wife, like, I need to go meet this person right now. Like, things like that. Jumping out at
Mhm.
9 p.m. at night,
yeah,
Mhm.
like, and I remember her saying, "Is like, why can't you just meet people at 12 and 4 or something like that, like you did with
yeah.
Amway?" Because that's what I did with Amway.
I
Like,
love that you do that too. I'm not quite there yet, but like I'm getting closer and closer to that. I love that you do
I
that.
think, I mean, but I also do it the way that you say as well. Like I
If
go to
it
the gym,
works, it works.
I go to the gym a lot at night, and if somebody can't meet me at my specific times, I'll just be like, "Hey, I'm gonna be at the gym at like 9 p.m. If you want to just swing by and come to the lobby, I'll buy it, and then I'll just,
Yeah.
and I'll say something funny, just be like, "Hey, I'm gonna be at the gym getting swole. If you just want to swing it by, and I'll buy your
Yeah,
phone." Like, and and that
no, for sure.
works.
Same thing. Yeah, yeah, same here.
Um,
Same thing. I'll be like, they're like, dude, you can't come to me. You can't pull up on me or whatever. And I'm like, hey,
okay,
come on. You guys get that all the time.
I
And
don't
so
pull up
it's
on
true.
people. Yeah.
I'll be like, hey, so sorry, like I'm tied up today. Sometimes I'll even say I'm tied up with the family. When it's at kind of like an after hours, after five,
Yeah,
6 o'clock, or if it's like the weekend. It just to be real, right? I'm going, I got stuff going on, or it's 3 o'clock in
Yeah.
the afternoon on a
Yeah.
Tuesday. I'll be like, I'm out running errands.
yeah,
Sorry, man. But if you could meet me, I've had people meet me at Costco. I'm buying a haul of groceries from Costco,
yeah.
and
I
I'm
love
like,
that.
I'll meet you in the food court at Costco. You don't have to have a card. You can just go walk into the food court area. They're like, okay, sweet, yeah, I'll be there. Where's it at? So
Nice.
Nice.
And that's what I love about this business is you can truly weave it around your life. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
yeah,
And I found that out, just by doing it for so long. It's like, and just the way that I do things it's a little different, and it gets a lot of hate online by other like guru guys, like with my scheduled meetup model. And I'm like, look, I don't know what you guys are complaining about. It works. Like I meet two
dude,
to
when it
three
works,
people at a time. Like,
yeah, when it works for you, it works for you. Some
yeah,
people, it comes down to limitations. Like Matt was saying, dude, we limit ourselves so much
yeah,
in all aspects of our life, but especially in our business, right? When it comes to money, like right, we're concerned about not making enough, and we have
yeah,
all the fears and insecurities there. We limit ourselves. That's a limiting mindset too. Of like, oh, I could never do that. Meet at noon and 4. Yeah, you could because my buddy Chris does. He does it
do
like
it all the
he's done
time.
it for years.
Yeah.
Um, just like some people would say, I couldn't only buy iPhone. I couldn't only buy like, which is what
But
I
you
do.
can, yeah. I mean, that's
You can't only
unlimiting
buy
belief of mine.
consoles, but Matt does. Matt buys only consoles 90%, like
Yeah.
he said. So
Hmm.
you can. It's all limiting beliefs. Back to what Matt said earlier. It's limitations, right? We limit
Yeah.
ourselves
Hmm.
around those things for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I
You
love
put a governor on a vehicle, it won't go as fast. Oh, surprise.
I'm actually
Yeah.
reading Goggins' book about that right now, which is why I love
Oh,
this part of the
David Goggins.
conversation. Yeah, the Can't Hurt Me one. He talks about that, the governor that most people
Hmm.
put on their life, um, and pushing yourself to do more and or do it in a different way and be
Yeah.
creative about it, right?
Yeah.
Um, but Rick, what if you don't mind sharing, what are you doing per month right now on average?
I would say my average net. So like
Yeah, after
hey,
everything.
after Google ads, Facebook ads, the marketing agencies that help me with those, all that kind of stuff, shipping, everything. I net, I would say a 3 month rolling average is about 7,500 a month right now.
Not bad, dude. Especially
That's
flipping only
great.
iPhones. That's pretty freaking good. And you only
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you
yeah.
only flip to direct buyers too, right?
Yes, absolutely. That's so like I'm very niche in what I buy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in the quality and the years that I buy of iPhones as well. Like I only
Hmm.
do iPhone 12 and newer. And so I boxed myself in, but very purposefully as
Yeah.
well. And so
Yeah.
and I know most people that are they even just hear that, right? He only buys iPhones. He only buys 12 and newer. He only sells to direct buyers. How the heck? Well, but I still net $7,500 a month on
Yeah.
average. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably keep things incredibly simple as well.
exactly right. It keeps it streamlined so that to go all the way to go back to the point that we made a few minutes ago that you asked me about. We were talking about. That's how I'm able to be available as a family
I like
man.
that.
I'm able to be present as a somewhat quasi stay at home dad and husband. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
truthfully,
it's
if
true.
I bought everything and I sold it on eBay and to direct buyers and to the highest bidder and all the things, dude, I would be so stressed out. And I've done some of that. I've played a little bit of that. Not stressed out. I shouldn't say because stress is it's all that's all up to interpretation. I would be so much more consumed. My time would be so much more consumed. Let's just say
Hmm.
that,
I got you.
Hmm.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
which would stress me out, like
Yeah.
because then I'm not able to be as present as a father and a husband.
I
And
like
Yeah.
that.
so,
Yeah,
yeah,
But
that's awesome.
here's something I think is interesting and I think clever about how you're choosing to run your business. First of all, for everybody hearing this, this is Rick's business. Rick can run his business the way he wants. Um, and for everybody else, like you have that prerogative as well. But I just think it's interesting. It's like I was an art major in college, right? And one thing you have to learn is that there's fundamentals to like design, 3D design, 2D design, all that sort of stuff. But the thing is once you learn the rules and where the boundaries are, you have the option to paint in or outside of the lines if you want to. And I think that for you, there's a specific example of like, there's people coloring here and coloring there, but I'm choosing to kind of stay within this space because I know its limitations. And I know that this also might be customized to suit your lifestyle and what works best for you. And that's completely okay because I think sometimes people like to project what seems to be like the best option and broad brush that onto everybody. But I got to be careful not to do that. I know that with with the way that I'm choosing to do things like this, my model of doing business works well for me.
works great for you, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's a choice. It's a very intentional choice, right? Like I've talked about earlier. I, I'm very intentional with what I do and where I spend my time, how I spend my time,
Yeah.
whether that be personal or business.
Yeah.
It's exactly, dude. And to your point, like I've had many people tell me, um, and I'm careful to make comments in some of the multitude of Facebook groups and different things I'm in because people want to jump on it and go, "You only do this? You only sell to direct buyers? You only buy iPhone?" And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Look, I appreciate you trying to evangelize or whatever, but like it's an intentional choice I'm making.
My
It's
bad.
not,
Yeah.
it's no. It's not
I'm
out of
joking. Yeah.
fear. No, I have to usually preface it like it's not out of fear. It's not because I don't think eBay works. It's not because I don't think that I can make money on other things. Like it's because it's actually the opposite. It's because I've been around long enough
Yeah.
and I've
Yeah.
kind of played in the space of buying Samsungs and buying DSLR cameras and other things and selling
Uh-huh.
on direct buyers and to
Uh-huh.
eBay.
Hmm.
And instead I've honed instead of doing all these things, I've honed it in my
Hmm.
focus to doing it exactly scripted how I want it to go because I've proven if I really um, hone in on this specific way and this niche way of doing my business,
Yeah.
I can go 100 miles an hour
Yeah.
on those things.
Makes a
Hmm.
lot of sense. Yeah. I mean,
Yep.
I think I have shiny object syndrome a little bit.
Uh,
So that's
You're like, what are you selling? I could probably flip that for some money. It's a kind of a challenge now. I want to see if I can flip it for
I
some
will
money.
say that I have narrowed it down to like four specific items.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of my thing. Like I made a video about it yesterday. I was like, I flip phones, I flip VR headsets, game consoles, and what was the other one I said? I can't remember the other one. Oh, MacBooks and iPads. But like those are like my 4 to 5 really like I
hmm.
go hard. Like I don't flip as many Nintendo Switches as I used to. Sorry, Matt,
Hmm.
but like I
No need
love
to
I love the
apologize, sir.
VR personally, like Valve
Yeah.
Index, Quest 3. Like and those are like my two at this point. I'm not even flipping the Quest 2 anymore because there's honestly not as much meat on the bone as there used to be. And that's just a market thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and that happens with iPhones too. Like next year the iPhone 11 is probably going to fall off my radar. You
Yep.
know? Like bye.
Yeah, I just did that on my ads and stuff where I changed the the images and the ad copy up to 12 and newer. I had to finally do it.
Yeah. The
I've had
11's
friends
getting
that have
hard to
done it.
buy. It's hard to make the $50
Yeah.
offer to people, you know?
Yep. I just had to say no to a 12 even, right? So like that's when I knew I found to say no to some 12s because it's like cracked front, cracked back, carrier lock. I'm like, bro,
Oh, yeah.
I got $5 for you. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what I got. And they're
Yeah.
like, what? So yeah.
Yeah. And people get insulted, but it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're going
Hard
to
to
have to
work
be
with that.
insulted because the market has spoken and there's no more that I
Yeah.
can pay for that and expect to make a profit.
Right.
I remember
Yeah.
one of the very first meetups this lady that I went to where I still buy phones from time to time, if they present themselves, because I'm interested in making money. I really am. Um, but yeah, some lady brought like a phone out for $5 and she put it back in her pocket. But to that, I would say like, what are you gonna do with that phone? You're gonna take it back home and put it in a drawer.
Right.
Right? Um,
Yeah. Yeah. When they get offended by that, usually I'll have to go to like verbiage of like, because versus trying, I'm like, I'm not trying to buy from you anymore. Like,
Oh, yeah.
like I'm not meaning, hey, I'm not trying to sell you with this response I'm about to give right now. I'm not still trying to sell you and talk you into selling it to me. It's fine. Like it's fine. I usually just kind of say, hey, I wish it was worth enough for me to be able to invest in that device.
yeah.
Unfortunately, that's all I'm able to invest, and that's all it's worth to me.
Have you ever
Um,
seen that turn around and people bring them anyway?
yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, because versus I mean, I've got to be in the right headspace. Sometimes I screw it up, right, and kind of go with the well, no, and keep trying to sell them. And I found that just doesn't work, especially once I can tell that they're like offended at that point or whatever they're put off.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
I just go, hey man, I'm so sorry. It's just not worth any more than that to me. And sometimes I'll go, if it wasn't cracked front and back, your ads say you buy crack. I do, but you're buying the lowest level entry device I can buy, and it has everything stacked against it.
Yep.
12, it's a 12 and it's cracked front, cracked back,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
carrier locked. I just it's going to cost me too much to fix the device,
Right.
to only sell it to someone that has T-Mobile,
Yeah.
and so yeah, it's tough. So sometimes I try to educate them just so they don't get pissy,
Yeah.
and possibly leave me a bad review or something.
Well, Rick,
Yeah.
we got to wrap it up. But this has
Sounds
been
good.
great, dude. We'll have to do this again. This was awesome. You got a
Yeah.
fantastic mindset around this business, man.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And I love
Agreed.
it. With that being said, guys, this has been another episode of the Smart Flip. Make sure you re-listen to this one like probably twice because there were some really good nuggets on mindset in this one.
Yeah.
So Rick, is there anything you would tell a brand new flipper like getting into the space, like just quick 1 minute like thing that you would say?
Yeah, for sure. I would say be a sponge, right? Don't allow yourself to make excuses. Realize that the reason why you're not successful or that you're afraid to jump in, and afraid of not being successful at it is not because you can't make money at it. It's not because that there aren't solutions to all the problems that you're thinking of in your mind. There's so don't make excuses, if to not jump in, and definitely don't make excuses once you have jumped in. Excuses to why you're not successful. Just realize there's solutions to the problems you're facing. That's it. And so then I always take that back to when I said be a sponge, I take it back to the mindset of going, cool. I don't have the solution to this problem yet. That's it. So I haven't soaked up that information, or I'm gonna go back through and watch more of Chris's videos, and join that course that I didn't join or whatnot as well, even that I was too scared of, because that's probably where the information is going to be that I'm lacking right now.
Mhm.
Don't make excuses that you can't do it, because then you're right, you won't be able to.
Love that. Well, guys, this has been another episode of the Smart Flip. Make sure to check out the Facebook group, grab the free guide, and then if you want, grab the ebook as well. And Rick, appreciate you coming on, man. This has been awesome.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Love it.
Appreciate you, Rick. Nice to
All
meet you,
right,
bro.
guys. Until next time.